Welcome to Book Huddle. I'm your host, Karen Reader with Readgab. Today, our guest is LeUyen Pham. She is an author and illustrator, and we're going to talk specifically about her Princess in Black series today, but just in general, just illustrating. Because if you think about it, what is a picture book? What is a graphic novel and early readers without these illustrations? I mean, it'd be a book, a novel, and it would have there'd be so much lacking, right? So I'm excited to talk to Win just all about the illustration process and what it adds to a book today. But first, of course, I always love to have you just take a second and introduce yourself, Win. Tell us about you.
That has nothing to do with children's books because I'm
Yeah.
practically nothing but
Um,
let's see. Oh boy, I my big three things is I love to travel. I'm a huge traveler. I always like to think of it like when I was born during the war in Vietnam.
oh, wow.
So I did like massive travel before the age of two, and went from to like five or six different countries before I ever turned two. And that's stuck with me. So I have traveled to
Nice.
literally everywhere in the world with the exception of South America. I have not yet gone to South America.
Okay. Tell us
And
one of the favorite places you have been.
oh, there's just so
So
many,
many. One of.
many. I have been lost in Africa on my own before. My
Wow.
first day I got lost and ran into elephants and baboons and giraffes, and it was great on my own. I should not have survived that day. It's too long
Wow.
here to tell. Gosh, but probably one of my favorite, most like the most beautiful countries I've ever been to is Cambodia.
Wow.
But this is Cambodia 25 years ago.
Okay.
I think things have changed because I've just recently been back to Vietnam and it's completely changed. But Cambodia 25 years ago was like the set from an Indiana Jones movie, like the
Neat.
Angkor Wat, the temples. Oh my God, we were walking through and there's nobody around. There's nothing to stop you from touching these ancient walls. I was sitting sketching kids everywhere and sketching the temples and it's always something I love about drawing is like when you draw, when you travel and you take photographs of everything.
Yes.
It takes you 2 seconds to take the photograph and
Right.
you forget about the moment you took the photograph because you take thousands of them. But
Right.
when you draw something, you're committing time to sit down to make like that moment last longer. So
Ooh.
every single drawing I do is 25, 30 minutes where I stayed still in one place and I really cement that memory in my head. And and of course, people, little kids are always in Cambodia anyway. Little kids are selling bottles of water and stuff, and they'll go up to tourists and try to sell water. But when they see
Yeah.
that I'm drawing, they turn back into little kids and they'll scooch next to me. And they won't speak English. I will speak their language, but inevitably they'll be ending up next to me. I'll hand them a piece of paper. They'll draw with me. We'll draw back, like because drawing is a language that everybody understands.
Yes.
Right? So it's
Oh, thank you for
traveling.
sharing that. Oh, it gives me goosebumps. I feel like that with writing that I remember things like, and it has to be with handwriting. It cannot be typing for me. But it just like it's like it transfers the experience to my brain and the memories are so much more concrete. So that's so neat to think about it from a drawing point. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm a traveler. I got like a million things that are funny about me, but we don't have that much time, so
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, though. I love it. To find out a little more about you, I love to pick a children's book, and one I read recently was a novel in verse called The Burning Season. And this girl she actually lives on one of these fire lookout towers, but
Mhm.
she's afraid of fire, like straight up. And so this is a problem for her. And so could you share with us a fear? Is there something that you would feel comfortable sharing with us?
Yeah, fear is a big topic for me these days. I feel like with each decade that passes, I don't know, I think you're younger than I am, but like with each decade that passes, there's a new fear that I'm always sort of trying to tackle.
Right.
Like when my biggest fear has always been water. I've
Oh.
always been afraid of water. I know. And I spent all of
Swimming pools or bigger?
anything, any bodies of water just kind of freaks me out. Even getting into a pool, it takes me about 20 minutes
Oh,
to
wow.
calm down and to sort of just be able to push away those fears. But because of that, I think when I was 20, a friend of mine, we were at a friend's house and he was fooling around. He didn't understand how afraid of water I was, and he threw me into the pool.
Oh
And
no.
I screamed and I came out just yelling at him and I realized at the point, like, I cannot let this control me because so
Right.
much of the world is covered in water. And I
Wow.
took swimming lessons and I could never get my face into the water. Like,
Right.
I just could not do that. So I can doggy paddle and I can
Right.
back float. And if I'm in a wetsuit, I'm okay. But despite only knowing this, I told myself, like, let's just tackle the hardest things possible to know that you can survive them. So when I
Right.
was in Africa, I went on a whitewater rafting, like one of the most difficult whitewater rafting excursions in the world. And we fell in the water, of course, and I went under and they pulled me out and it was just like hardcore face your fear, realizing you
Wow.
can survive these things. And so I have not tackled the fear entirely, but I know I have done all the things that I need to do to show that I can survive in the water. I think that helps.
You, yeah, you went serious about that. Holy cow. Wow.
But I think like the older I get, like fears are a little different and I know kind of at this stage in my life, the things that I'm choosing, even in my career, I'm going after the things that scare me the most. And I find that it's I've been doing books for like 30 years now.
Yes.
Next year will be my 30th year anniversary. And I know like it takes a lot to stay in the industry for that long.
Yes.
I'm positive that one of the reasons why I've still been active and I'm still doing well is because I keep going into territory and places that I'm just very, very afraid of being and
Wow.
tackling that territory and making sure that I know I can survive it. And it keeps me malleable, it keeps me fresh, and I think it keeps my art style sort of always changing. And it makes me available to art directors and editors who wouldn't normally see me in a certain way. They keep seeing me reinvent myself, and I think it's because I keep chasing the fear. So, oh, that's my line. Chase the fear.
Taste the fear. I love it. And that's incredible to me because I feel that there's a need to respect people's fears and
Yeah.
let them deal with it on their own. But that is so powerful that you have taken what you're afraid of and you have hit it head on. And I think that's incredible. And that's neat for people to see that and try to do because I think a lot of us are like, my sister-in-law keeps trying to tell me, you just need to hold a snake. And I'm like, I do not need to hold a snake. No, no. And she's like, I used to be afraid too, but then I held it and it was fine. And I was like, I will not. That is not going to make me a better person. I will go and,
Not sure I've held a snake either, so that's okay.
right? I will go and try and draw. Actually, mine, I don't know, maybe I would draw. That would be neat. That would be neat to spend time there. I could find that being relaxing.
Yeah.
Puzzles, people say puzzles are relaxing, and I'm like, no, they frustrate me. But I
Ah,
find trying to learn how to draw being relaxing. I can do something.
nothing scary about drawing. It's just showing people that's scary. That's all.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that is true. And we need to be like kids, right? Like all the kids are like, yes, I'm a great drawer at like 3 year olds, you know? Yes,
Oh God, I want to be seven again. That would be so.
right? Where everything's just fun and you're good at it. So 30 years now, that's incredible. How did you first get into it? Did you start with illustrations?
I had always loved to draw as a kid, but it's one of those things where, especially with immigrant parents, there was just no way that they were going to let me become an artist. They didn't come in this country to let me be poor, is what they just kept saying.
Come in this country to
So I didn't start off studying art. I went to UCLA. I was studying pre-law or political science there. I was going
wow,
there. I know, but I'd always loved drawing, and the thing was, everyone in my family could draw really, really well,
nice.
but none of us listened to that part of ourselves. And my sister became a doctor. My brother went into business. Like everyone did the thing that they thought was the safest path. And
Right,
I was just lucky being child number four. So I could see how the others were doing. I could see that it didn't necessarily make them happy, but they felt
right,
like they had to do it. And even though I went to UCLA, when I switched majors, it was because I took a drawing class. and the teacher there didn't believe that the drawing I had done, that I had made it up, and I'd gotten really upset. And I went to the head of the art department and showed him my piece and said, this teacher accused me of lying. You know, the head of the art department said, let me see what else you've got. And
Yes.
I was upset because I thought he didn't believe me either. I'm like, what? Who is this UCLA? And I went home and I just found all these drawings I'd done in high school and dropped it off on the teacher's desk. And then the next day he called me and said, I made you an appointment to go to Art Center College. You are in the wrong school. Like, go do what you're supposed to be doing. It was then he helped me to secure a scholarship to go there. And that was it. That was like my track to go. And I say this all the time and I mean it. 30 years later, I very much mean this. Like going to art school was like slipping into a warm bath and the water was the exact same temperature as my skin. Like
Oh,
this is where I belonged, everything just felt
nice.
right. And I went in thinking I would love to do children's books because I'd always loved kids' books.
Yes.
As a kid, I loved Maurice Sendak and all of his books. I kind of he was like my hero. So when I got to art school, of course, everyone's like, "There's no way you can make a living at children's books."
Right.
Dude, it's too hard. So when I graduated, I worked in animation for a little while. But I had caught the notice of Harcourt Brace Jovanovich when they used to be Harcourt Brace Jovanovich down in
Okay.
San Diego. This was again 30 years ago when it was still around. And the art director there remembered my stuff and he sent me like a chapter book manuscript.
Okay.
I did that and he liked it. And then an editor there just fell for the cover, and she was the one who sent me with Eve Bunting to do my first picture book. I think I was 22 when all this was happening. I was working actually in animation, but I was doing children's books at the same time. And then I quit my animation job and started doing children's books full time, probably when I was 25. So,
Nice.
yeah,
And
25.
it's been able to be consistent full-time job for,
I mean, ups and downs and ups and downs for sure. But yeah, but pretty much I've been able to. I mean, I taught for a little tiny bit.
okay.
Other than that, no, I've been sticking doing books and have just really, really stuck to it. So yeah, I guess the answer to that is yes, Karen. I've been doing illustration since the beginning.
I love it. I love it. All right, Win. Let's take Princess of Black and tell me about what it's like from start to finish of you get a manuscript and how does the process go to when it gets published? What's the
So Shannon and Dean, it's always funny because I know Shannon really, really well. And whenever she does a book, I think the first three books, she and Dean wrote them, they were happy and pleased and she sold them. But once I got on board and I was illustrating the books for them, she would contact me and I knew she was sort of writing to make me laugh. Like if I giggled about it, if I got excited about it, then she knew she was on the right track. So she would always send me the script and say, I can't wait till you read this. Let me know what you think. And then my job after I would get it, I would fall apart laughing and just be like, this is so clever. And I think it's what I love about the Princess of Black scripts is it's got all the premise of being one type of very conventional story, and then it just always flips in the third act, and you end up with something that you don't expect ever. And I'm always looking forward to whatever that twist is that they've got. So at that point, when I'm doing the drawings, this is not a joke. I am not drawing for Candlewick. I'm not even drawing for the editor. I'm just sheerly drawing for Shannon and Dean because
nice?
I keep thinking like this will make them laugh. And this was what they intended for this piece. And oh my gosh, the timing here is perfect for this moment to turn on the page. And it's all about just making sure that they really, really think it's funny. And
Nice.
and it's like it's akin to dancing with someone, like if someone's going to dance with you and lead you in a certain way, you're going to flare that skirt in as many ways possible to accentuate that movement. So
Yes.
that's kind of what I always feel like I'm doing when I do these. So all the joy and fun and the jokes are all in the drawings. When I send the sketches back, I always secretly send one off to Shannon Dean. And then she sends me back an email long with like, oh my God, this is hilarious. This is exactly what I was thinking. You got it spot on. I love it, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just one long slog to finish the paintings because they're all still traditional paintings, watercolors.
Okay, cool.
And there's 80 plus paintings in each book, so it's a very heavy process to paint
Yes.
those little images. But I think in the end it's worth it. I feel like the reason why there's a lot of the young reader chapter series out, but I think Princess and Black stands out because Candlewick is amazing, and they put so much into the quality of the paper and the color. The fact that it can be full color, that
Yes.
really, really cool. I love that. And just having them when you put them on the wall, like, up in front of you, they look like little jewels. They always have these little metallic glints to them. And they
Yes.
also look like comic books, like it's just a really nice combination of so many different things.
Right. And it brings, yeah, there's just so much to it. Do you ever add just like something that didn't necessarily say it in the words, but you
Oh,
add some kind of image? Can you share with us something that you've added that you were like, it doesn't
yeah.
really say this, but I feel like this will really enhance it, or
I'm trying to think of like for each book, there's always something that I'm sticking in there that doesn't necessarily written into the script. Like for instance,
right.
the one that you've got, the Hungry Bunny Horde, which is one of my favorite books to illustrate, even though it was the biggest pain because there's hundreds of bunnies that I'm
Little
picturing on
bunnies.
every single page. But the funny thing is, in the script, she doesn't just, they don't describe like what color the bunnies are. They don't really describe what they're supposed to look like. And I love that because I think at some point they knew they could sort of pass me the ball and I could sort of carry it over the finish line. And one of the things that artists don't like that as much is so much description that it takes over the job of the illustration.
Right.
And I think by the third book, Shannon and Dean were a lot more relaxed about like, well, we don't need to put this in because when we'll be able to pull this off. And I
Right.
think even in that book, they removed a couple lines just because they realized it's not necessary. One's got it in the illustration.
Yeah. It
But like
be
for
seen. It
instance,
doesn't need to be said if it can be seen.
yeah, exactly. But for instance, in that book, the
Uh-huh.
the bunnies all have like they're designed to be cute, but one eye is always slightly bigger than the other
Oh,
eye.
nice.
Like they're just a little bit off so that they're cute and yet a little menacing. And
Uh-huh.
and the little fuzzy things on the tips of their ears and the color that I chose, like all of these little bits and like the glint of the red behind the eyes. Those weren't things
Yes.
that they described, but they're things that I know once you put them into the character, it informs how the character is going to behave, all the silliness that they get into on the pages. Like they never give me art notes. They never say, by now the rabbit should be climbing all over her. They just
Okay.
write it and I'm able to interpret what's supposed to be happening in all those moments. And I think even in that book, when they say it turns into one big monster, I
Uh-huh.
think that's what they expected from me. What's that one big, weird, crazy monster?
Right.
They're just
Oh,
fun.
death.
So there you go. I don't think they were expecting that.
I love it so much. And I love that I haven't read the words on this one. So I'm going through The Princess in Black, and this is coming out, for a holiday one. So if you've got a little girl like, or a little boy, if you've got a child like me that is around age 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8, that this would be a great gift series, all three books in one. So I've been
Yeah.
reading it to my 5-year-old, but we're in the middle of book 2 right now. But so I picked up this one and I was just flipping through the pages. So I only looked at the pictures and I haven't looked at the words. So the pictures have been telling me the story, and it made me laugh just looking at these bunnies because they look cute and she looks like she's snuggling them, and then it almost looks like she's fighting them. And it's just hilarious. I can't wait to get in and read the words and experience it fully because yeah, I love.
Terrible monster story, really. Like it's a
It's a
real
monster story. Yes, because there's like monster land going on here. And I love just this tunnel. At first I thought it was a river. This tunnel as she's changing as she goes. And I love her expressions, the facial expressions you put on everybody, the monsters included.
they're so much fun. And what I really love actually about being able to do this series is that we've done it over so many books and I
Yes.
really
Yeah.
love
How
it.
many Princess in Black are there now?
Number 13 is coming out
Okay.
next year. Yeah,
Nice.
number 13 for Halloween. I'm not sure if Shannon's going to, like, what number Shannon and Dean are thinking of stopping. I'm not sure. And the truth is, I'm not sure how much longer I can keep doing the books. But,
Right.
like, every time I say, I think this might be the last one, she'll send me the script and it's like, ah, why? Why is it good? Why are you doing this to me?
They're
So,
like, you say that, but you don't mean it.
yeah, I think that's what she's going for.
You can't possibly want me to stop. They want more.
Yeah, it's fun. But anyway.
I love it. I love it. So, does the publisher or Shannon, have they ever sent back any changes for an illustration where they were like, maybe
Huh.
in the beginning, the first couple books?
The very first book, because we knew it was going to be a series,
Right.
I did send a couple different versions of Magnolia.
Okay.
Oh, and I was trying to reckon the age group, and it was a little hard to figure out in the very, very beginning. So I
Okay.
did send a couple different versions of Magnolia over, and then they voted on their favorite one, and they went for the slightly older looking version. Same thing with the horse, the uniform pimple pants, like they
Okay.
three different versions. But other than that, no, they have been really, and I don't know if it's just because they've been sort of trusting us as we've been going along that the partnership is working well.
Nice.
Maybe it's I don't know, maybe we just get the world so well that and it
Yeah.
became very successful, the first one. So I think when the first one becomes successful, the editor tends to stay out, or the art director anyway, in my
Right.
case, to stay out of the story as much and sort of lets it evolve and go in the direction that it wants to go. So no, not a whole lot, I gotta say. They will always send back small minor notes, but they're nothing that are ever difficult in any way. I think if they had been more invasive in that process, I might not have wanted to do the books as much.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
were all having just so much fun with it, and
Right.
I think every time we sent it over, and I know that I'm trying to make Shannon and Dean laugh, but I knew also, like, my lovely art director Haley, is she would always send back all her notes, and it's like, okay, now I got all the technical stuff right. Now I feel good.
Right. Nice. Nice.
It's always nice, but no, I've never really gotten too many notes back, which is
Well, that's perfect. That sounds ideal, right? The
yeah.
great way to work it.
Which sometimes I would think some of the monsters are a little funny too, and I would think,
Yes.
are they going to say anything about the monster? But they never do. They always let me go crazy with the monsters.
Nice. Nice. I love that yellow one with all those arms.
They're
Perfect. It's perfect.
fun. The monsters are like the most fun to do because they have a different monster each time.
Yes.
The monsters, Shannon once told me that the trick to writing the monsters is that they are really just toddlers. Toddlers that, because giant toddlers, because toddlers are monsters. They don't have
Yes,
any sense of
they
moral.
are.
Like they're terrifying. They run around self-absorbed, but they're not bad. They're just monsters. So when you think of them in that way, they're a lot more fun to draw. She told me that, I think, on the third book after I had done the rabbits because the rabbits were not toddlers. But all the ones after that are very emblematic of, little toddlers. So
The toddlers running around. Oh, all right. This is going to resonate with those daycare providers. Nice. I enjoyed I love my children. I do. I love my children. But I enjoyed the toddler stage so much more when I knew it was the last time I was ever experiencing it.
Yeah.
There's certain things that were just easier to laugh at. You know what I mean? Rather than
Yeah.
get frustrated that it was just like, like I maybe it made me a worse parent too, because my first is like this epitome of obedience and just this,
The thing with toddlers is they are adorable. If
yes.
anyone outside of the equation, oh my God, you just want the toddlers all the time. If you are the parent of a toddler, you don't sleep. You are in perpetual fear of them killing themselves or killing you. I've had my toddler like smash like a train on my face without understanding what he was doing. I've like broken noses and teeth because of my toddler's weird actions, and like they're dangerous, dangerous creatures and should not be let out. So yeah, I love you too, children. I love you. I love
Thank you. As we say over to the world, broadcasting
you.
this, I do love you so much, and that's why I put up with you little sweet monsters.
Exactly. That's exactly it. That's why you're still alive and I didn't kill you when you were 3 because I love you so much.
So, getting talking about all of these wonderful monsters and the different ages that our monsters go through. Makes me think. So I didn't realize because I got to research about who I'm having on, and I was like, kitty unicorns? Like, fun. It's like when I saw there's this book called Kitty Permaids, similar. So that, and it's just like, yes, because I love cats. So I'm like, yes. Um, so you do this series with Shannon about this unicorn and this, is it kitty corn? Is that how I say it?
Yeah,
Kitty
it
corn. So this
is.
little kitty with a unicorn horn as well. And then, of course, The Princess in Black is for the early readers, and then the graphic novels.
Real friends there.
So are they all watercolors when you have
I
done
think
these?
the Princess Black is all watercolor. The graphic novels, the first two were traditionally inked,
Okay.
and the third one was actually done on the computer because iPads just got so good. So
Nice.
there was no difference, and boy, did it save a lot of paper. And then Kitty Corn, no, Kitty Corn was always a digital thing. I'd always painted it.
Okay.
But the reason why was because when the story started, again, Shannon and were touring for, I think it was for the Best Friends series, and we
Okay.
were in a coffee shop in between school visits. And, like when you tour, I think people fail to remember that we're still working. So
Right.
we bring our work with us. So in between school visits, we're sitting, madly sketching or working on something. And we were in a coffee shop at that time, and we're, of course, still chatting as we're working. And I had told her something about getting a script with a really cute character, and I said, "Yeah, I don't want to do a cute character for somebody else. Like, I know it's just meant to be this sort of commercial thing." And she's
Uh-huh.
like, when it's not that easy to make a commercial cute character, like, I don't think I think you may be thinking a little too highly of yourself. I'm like, come on, Shannon, like, you're one of the world's best writers. I'm not too bad at illustrating. I'm pretty sure if we just like came up with a cat that wanted to be a unicorn, I bet you we could do something. And then she laughed and I laughed, and we were still sitting, and I was on my iPad. And this is why the kitty coin's on the iPad, because as we were sitting and she was working on something else, I started to like, I couldn't focus on work, and I started to draw this funny cat because I wanted again to make her laugh, to show like, hey, look, we could do it. And so I drew this really cute little cat, just like made it as adorable as I possibly could, put a little horn on it. And 10 minutes later, I'm like, "Psst, Shannon, look what I got." And it was the first kitty corn. And Shannon's like, no way. And she turned her computer and she started writing out a script for kitty corn.
I love it.
So we were both just like, doing it at the same time. And that's like, that was just one of those, that very first book. The other books have been a little hard to do, but that very first book was really just so much fun. It was like the two of us squirreled off into a corner, and like when you're in school and you're supposed to be doing
Yes.
homework, but you're with your best friend, you're writing notes and drawing things in the back of the room. That's exactly what it was like. And for a good 5 months, I wouldn't let Shannon even talk to the agents about it. I'm just like, let's leave it between the two of us. I just
Nice.
have fun. We're gonna pretend it's not gonna be sold in any way. We're just gonna have fun. And that's really what it was. That first story was like a little bit of a love story between two friends. And that I have not been able to replicate that feeling again. It's been
That
so nice.
that is so cool. Oh, I love it so much. And then does it depend on what age you're going for what colors you use when it's time to color things, or are they similar?
Sometimes, I mean, color is just part of a whole bunch of tools that you can use to communicate things. But I know, so my latest project, or the book that just recently came out, was the book that I did with Jean Yang called Lunar New Year Love Story. And
Okay.
that was meant to be a teen romance novel. And that one is a lot of fun, but it's a lot more subtle in its color. But I don't use color in that sense of bright means small children, and like
Right.
there's a
Yeah.
really sophisticated way you can sort of see it. And if you actually look through the book of Lunar New Year Love Story, the story is about it's like a love triangle. You've got to figure out which of these guys this girl's going to go for. But it takes place over the cycle of an entire year.
Okay.
And it book ended by the Lunar New Year, which is always in February. And so this girl has a year to decide whether or not she believes in true love. And there's like a spiritual element, there's like a ghost that's involved that's going to come, the ghost of Saint Valentine's, who's going to
Uh-huh.
come and possibly like take away her heart forever. And she just has to find this one boy to love. So because it all takes place in the space of a year, I told Jean, like, okay, you only have 10 chapters. Let's make 12 chapters to make it like a year.
Oh,
And then
nice.
each of the chapters will put a symbol of an animal from the Chinese horoscope from the Chinese Lunar New Year. So the rat, the tiger, the dragon, etc. And then each of those animals also is assigned a color. And in the Feng Shui wheel, their color has a great meaning. So I chose for each chapter, I would choose a particular color that would correlate to the Feng Shui wheel
Oh,
based on the
wow.
animal. And then that color would be represented in that particular chapter. So one would be focused on family, one would be focused on career, one would be focused on love. And so it'd be that one color that would dominate the entire chapter.
Nice.
There's just a lot of elements, like there's a lot of things that you can do with color in that way that I think if you look at it as just a bunch of tools, it's helping to accentuate storytelling. So there's Jean's story, and I'm going to correlate it with color to make sure that the
Nice.
color matches the mood of the story. Mm.
Nice. So I feel like, and I maybe it's just because I haven't talked to enough people, but I've talked to a few author illustrator pairs
Mhm.
or a few on the subject anyways, and they'll say the publisher likes to be the go-between and will be like, even if you have a relationship, we
Yeah.
want you to go between us. And so I feel like you kind of broke a mold here, right? So, because you have multiple, it sounds like this Lunar New Year, you influenced as the illustrator, you influenced the story with your feedback and stuff, right?
Yeah, I
As
think,
adding that 12th chapter, and then with
yeah,
Shannon, how your relationship evolved and you guys were hanging out together as you went to
yeah.
wrote your books, and so that influenced the stories too.
I think the way the model is meant, the model is designed in the beginning years of your career to
Right.
protect one person from being overshadowed or almost bullied sometimes by the other.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I mean, and this did happen to me a lot early on in my career where I would come on and the writer would be a big name and I would wanted to defer to the writer all the time because I
Right,
always think the writer knows what's better. They've been doing this
right,
long term.
right.
But the writer doesn't always necessarily know what's better for the art. They just
Okay.
and so they can, if they interfere too much, point you in the wrong direction. And I've
Okay.
seen personally, and I've had it happen a couple times, but I've seen it personally done to an artist that they're so scared by what the author has to say that
Hmm,
they're trying to draw what the author wants them to draw, and that's not what they're hired for. They're hired
right.
to draw the way they're supposed to interpret the story themselves. So I think that's why the model is set up. The editor is there to make sure that the author and the artist both feels like their area of expertise is not being tampered with.
Right,
And
because you cannot have one without the other.
exactly,
Mm,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's training ground. It's for you to be able to feel comfortable in your space and figure out your craft a little bit better.
Yes.
So I think in the beginning it's absolutely necessary. It's really, really helpful. But as you go on, and I've done this is like I think this year will be my 145th, 146th book. That's I know it's a lot of books. Like I think I know how to handle myself now.
Nice.
And in the last few years, especially like right before COVID and then especially during COVID,
Right.
um, I started understanding the importance of relationships and how meaningful it is to be in a space with a person and talk and discuss and connect and everything of like getting blasted online if you say the wrong thing and taken out of
Oh my gosh,
context. And
right.
yeah, there's just so much because we've just sort of lost that human connection. And when I looked at it in that sort of space, man, every single time I got a script, I never got to meet the author. Like we'd meet at a conference later, and it was always a miracle when the book would do well enough, like because it is, particularly for picture books, it is, it's a partnership, like
Yeah.
such an intricate partnership. And very good editors will know when to gently step away and let that partnership merge. And
Nice.
then sort of insecure editors will pop in and try to like do as much as they possibly can. And the book Bear came along. I have never met Richard Morris, but we had done one book together, and Alvina Ling was our editor on that. And the first book didn't do as well in the market, but I could tell that Alvina knew that there was something between us that was working. And
Nice.
so when she sent me Bear came along, she sent off the script, and I
And
sat.
that's the one that won the award, right?
It won the Caldecott, yeah.
Yes.
And that was one where, because I'd already gotten Richard's voice from the first book, this one I could tell where he was restraining himself. I could just feel it because it was a very sparse script. And
Okay.
So rarely do you get a sparse script in the picture book world because authors are nervous people too, and they want to make
Yes.
sure that they're being heard. And it takes an author of a certain caliber to know, okay, I'm taking the ball halfway down the field, and this illustrator's got to take it the rest of the way. So to leave the space for that to happen doesn't happen very often. And Richard sent over something where he was basically putting his heart on a platter and said, take care of this,
Yeah.
take it all the way to the end line. And it's like, I gotcha.
Oh,
And
wow.
I think Alvina saw that, and I just recently saw Alvina, so this is why I'm like, she's fresh in my mind. But she was saying that, and it was my experience too. She gave no notes for that book at all when it came over. It was like she even said it to me. She's like, you guys know what you're doing, and I'm not going to interfere. And in that book, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there are three spreads that are completely wordless, which doesn't happen very often in a picture book.
Beautiful.
Just wordless. And I felt like it was so necessary, like it needed that extra beat, that extra moment. And I kept thinking she's going to send it back with notes and say, nope, take that out. And
Oh,
she kept it in. And in fact, because of that,
lovely.
even things like when I asked if I could take my name off the cover because I felt like it was distracting design wise. It wasn't an ego thing. It was just, it would be such a great cover if you saw these big words and like a bear's face, and that would be it. And she shared it with Richard, and Richard's like, take my name off too. I don't need it. And
Wow.
to her credit, like we're both, fairly good big names in the industry.
Yeah.
Usually that's what helps to sell the book.
Yes.
Alvina
Yes.
was like, take it off. We don't need it. Like she's absolutely right. It is a design principle. It looks a lot better without it. And she did it. And I've
Wow.
never been able to do that since. But like that to me is a really great sign of an editor who's just like, you know what you're doing. We're going to give the space for you. Like she can come in with the right words because she's a fabulous editor, but she just stepped out of the picture and let us do it. And I'm always going to be like majorly grateful for her for doing something like that.
That makes me so excited that there are relationships out there that are working so well and producing incredible things for children.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that really gave me goosebumps. Like I was like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let's shift gears and talk about the kids when they receive this. Have you been able to get some feedback about when maybe a teacher shared it or a parent or the kid themselves shared and said, hey, this impacted me when I saw the picture. And
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, because with the Princess and Black series we're talking about specifically now,
yeah,
every Halloween we get to go on Instagram and see all the tags for the Princess and Blacks out there. And I love that because as much as like Shannon and Dean can definitely take credit for the creation of it, those are my drawings. Like they dressed up like my drawings.
somebody dressed up like that.
Yeah, like this went from inside my head to somebody's fabric that they put on their body. Like stuff like that is always incredible to me. So number one, for sure, when we do book signings and kids show up and they're full on in costume and super
Oh,
excited.
that's awesome.
I love that. And in fact, I was in Abilene, Texas last year. Do you know
Okay,
Abilene? They
I
have
don't.
a book festival once a year. They're known as the storybook capital of the world. I think they're self-named, but I'm going to give it to them. That's fine.
I would like to call myself.
Yes. But I'm willing to back it up because when you come into this tiny little town in Texas, you're not expecting a whole lot, and then you come in and the first thing you see is like a big bronze statue of William Joyce character, and then you go through the town and then it's just peppered with statues from children's book stories.
Right?
And they have a full-on bronze golden garden. Like you could go filled with like, oh my gosh, I don't think Marissa Neck's in there, but Garth Williams is in there, and then Sophie Blackall's in. Like they just have, and they've got Kitty Corn in there as a big bronze statue.
Oh,
They
wow.
they are pretty incredible. But they had me come out last year because they fet an illustrator once a year and put a statue in the garden. So they put Kitty Corn in the garden, but
Nice.
they celebrated all of our books. And so Shannon came along with this one because we've done so many books together.
Nice.
And part of it was a costume party where they went through and all the kids dressed up as characters from all of my books. And These kids did their homework. They found books that were out of print that I could not
Mhm.
believe. There was a book I did that I wrote myself called The Bear Who Wasn't There. It's a sort of a meta book and it's silly and it's funny and I'm even in it as like a little side character.
Cute.
There's one little illustration and it's a joke. It's one joke after another. And there's a joke of a moose being cut in half by a magician.
Uh-huh.
In one image, the moose's head is like sticking out of the one side of the magician's box, and in the other image, the moose's legs are sticking out.
Uh-huh.
Some amazing mother took her baby, made a moose cat, and put it in one box, and then put another box and put her toddler's legs sticking out. It was brilliant, so incredible, and just this, clearly one tiny little character from this massive book. So when, I don't know, when you see stuff like that, you see the reactions to kids, but I gotta say the best ones are when are when they don't know who you are.
Uh-huh.
I used to live in San Francisco and we lived right next to the Castro Library there, which has a really great children's book section. And I used to go over there all the time, to take my kids. But I remember once going and there was a little girl with a pile of books, and five of them were mine. Five
Yay!
of them. And I was so tempted to say, but of
You
course,
want to meet me?
yeah, like she didn't care. She just wanted the books, like it didn't
Yeah.
matter. And that something like that is really, really thrilling when you see, okay, these are affecting kids in some way. And I mean, I've got just so many stories of like a little girl who I met at the National Book Festival. She'd been waiting in line to get her book signed. She was the last one. The line got cut off. She started
Oh,
to cry. I pulled her to the side. I'm like, that's okay. I'm going to do your drawing for you. And me and Shannon ended up like doing another line. And 5 years later, that girl found me.
aw.
I was speaking at a school in Washington, D.C., and she had volunteered to be my guide for the day. She
Uh-huh.
didn't tell me until the end of the day. I was that little girl that was crying. Your story all the time. She's like, I tell your story all the time.
Oh,
So,
so sweet.
these things have these repercussions. Like, it's amazing when you see the small ripple effect that you have. And I think to myself, God, the way Marie Sendak influenced me, am I influencing someone like that out there in the world? And you just never know when you throw a pebble how far the ripples go. So
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. All right. So what is next? We've got Halloween, Princess in Black.
yes,
And then
the
do you have
trick-or-treating.
individual ones? That must have been fun to
That's a
do
lot of fun,
a
you have to.
Halloween
Yeah.
one.
I had done the book prior to that had been about a monster cat. And that was the first book I had tried to do digitally, and it
Uh-huh.
doesn't look like it's digital. No one will be able to tell, but I did not enjoy it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I had to go back to watercolor for the trick-or-treating one. And that was just fun because I really I like horror stories. I really do. That's why I
Nice.
was asking you earlier about your horror story. But I do love horror stories, and I just love the idea of for the Princess of Black series, like I love every single time they are thinking about a new book, they always ask me, hey, what would you be interested in drawing next? Or is there
Nice.
something in mind? And I'd always toss to Shannon, especially like, I want to do a scary story. Let's do a ghost
Nice.
story. Let's do something kind of funny like that. So she, of course, I think that's why they wrote this one. It was just because I wanted to do
I
this
love to do it.
one.
You keep asking me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the mermaid story was because of that too. She asked me, what's the next character? I'm like, let's do a mermaid story. Can you do a mermaid? I'd love to do a mermaid story. So
Nice. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right. Do you have other things in the work of anything you're writing?
I have so many things. I do. I have a book that I just finished up, and it's another graphic novel with Jen Lee. She is the writer of Frozen, the
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Yeah, she's a big like Disney name,
Yeah.
but this book is nothing like a Disney story.
Not
It's a
Disney. So is it like
no.
another young adult graphic novel
It's
one
a
or
young adult.
nice?
It's sort of based on the story of Orpheus and Eurydice,
Oh, cool.
but it's a modern day telling of it. It's not quite like Hades Town. It's nothing like that. But it was something that was based on her that truly happened to her, and it's very touching and very moving. And it takes place in the REM state, and there's like dream escapades in it, and it was very taxing as far as illustration is concerned. It just pulled so much out of me last
Just
year.
the emotion.
It's a very emotional book, yeah.
Wow.
It's a very slim volume. When she sent it to me, the script was only 100 pages long,
Uh,
which means that it should only be a 200-page book. It's usually 2 pages per two drawn pages per script.
okay.
But I turned it into almost a 400-page book because it
Wow.
was so emotional and there was
You
just
needed more of those images to captivate
I
that.
did. And I had so many double page spreads. It's when the illustrator instinct overcomes the graphic novelist instinct to make like the big, beautiful images. That one should be coming out next year, and I'm very excited about that one. I finished up a book with Laurel Snyder called Shrinking Violet. That one's painted all in gouache. And I don't know if you know who Laurel Snyder is, but
No.
she did Orphan Island. She was a National Book Award finalist. She's basically a poet and finds ways to turn her poetry into writing. And I did a chapter book with her a million years ago, and we've been really good friends and we've been wanting to work together since. So this story was just perfect because it's about a little girl who it's very classic fairy tale like.
Hmm.
But anytime there's a fairy tale, I always like to inject some Eastern ideas to it. So
Nice.
castle doesn't quite look like a Western castle. It looks like Eastern influence. The
Neat.
dress that she's wearing is actually a Japanese style dress, but the girl herself looks a lot like Laurel with her big curly hair. And the idea is that this girl shrinks every time she gets afraid.
Oh,
And she has a small bird in the castle with her. And one day the bird is lost outside and she runs out to find it into the garden, but she's so terrified that she shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. And it's this lovely metaphor for me, it felt like as women in the last 10 years, we've had to go through the ringer in so many different ways.
okay.
I don't think this is what Laurel intended, but this is what I read from it, that
Nice.
we've had to go through the ringer in so many different ways. And post Me Too and pre Me Too, you think about all the actions that you had before and small things. Like, I don't know if you've experienced this, Karen, but like I notice now when I sit in a chair, how small I make myself on the chair. And I don't know why I do that. And I keep
Interesting.
thinking it's because we've been trained to be small and quiet and whatever. And so now I purposely sort of try to take up more space in the room and I lean forward
I
more.
do.
Yeah, right?
I'm
Like
like, here I am.
exactly. You engage your space more. And I think it's something that younger women don't necessarily like. I see it with young women all the time. Like they are much less fearful about engaging in space. But it meant to me like, wow, we have spent our whole lives shrinking and shrinking and shrinking.
Uh-huh.
And we have to find a way to engage in our space again, to take over and to let ourselves be women properly. So that was how I interpreted the story. And so if you look at the book, it's got so much of that in that particular story. So that should be coming out. And there
Oh,
is a graphic novel that I'm working on. It's a memoir-ish of my
oh,
own sort of, but I don't care for memoirs that much. So it's based on stuff that happened to me, but I don't want it to be like there's a larger story to it that is less about me and more about an observation of society. So
wow.
it sort of compares because I grew up very poor, like really,
Right.
when I say poor, I mean poor, poor, like, very close to food stamps. And the neighborhood that I lived in, there was a girl who was my best friend who was white. And then there was a boy who lived down the street who was Hispanic. And
Okay.
we all experienced the same level of poverty.
Right.
In this book, I wanted to show how just your race would determine how people receive you and
Wow.
how if you're sort of considered white trash, you're looked down upon, and the prejudices that my friend had to experience, and then me as the model minority, and everyone always thought that I was so good and kind, like they were always very supportive, but there's always this slight racism behind it in some way. And this
Wow.
poor kid was he always grew up with much racial prejudice against him, despite the fact that his family actually did very well out of all of us. And
Mhm.
so it's sort of a comparison between those three different levels of poverty and a situation that they find themselves in where they have to, we're each confronted with society's expectations of each of us. So
Wow. I love how you take so much and so much that is emotional
yeah,
because that is powerful. Wow. What you were just saying. And you put that into art and oh, that's going to be neat. I'm excited about that.
yeah, I hope so.
Yes, that'll be neat. I can't wait. And I can't wait to hear. So are you writing that one yourself as well?
I am, and I don't want it to be too serious. I want to make it a little funny too, because
Right?
I don't like overly serious stuff.
Well,
So
because it's easier for the kids to take on if you make it light in different ways,
I
right?
think it's easier, and I also, when I look back at my childhood, as difficult as I know it was, I didn't see it. I mean, I laughed about so much of it. I tell these stories when I'm in school. So there's a humor to all of it. And I do feel like humor makes a story more palatable. It makes you more willing to ingest the truth behind it because, like, the best humor comes with the harshest truth behind it.
Wow. Yeah.
So there will be a lot of humor, and there's even going to be an Indiana Jones character in there.
Fun.
Because I love Indiana Jones and he shows up sort of as my imaginary friend and, counsels me through a lot of situations. So I don't know, it's just kind
Cool.
of.
Oh, cool. Well, Win, this has been so much fun. Can you end by recommending a favorite children's book?
There's so many, and there's so many new books out there that I love so much. And in fact, there's all so many, and I actually know too many of these authors that I feel like I would insult anyone to give one over the other. So I'm
Right.
gonna go back to like my old favorite. My
Nice.
favorite picture book of all time, and not because of the pictures. I think the pictures are terrible, but they're so funny. Is the book Caps for Sale? Do you know that
Oh,
book?
yes, I do.
I love that book. Louise Slobodkin, I think is her name.
We have like five at preschool. Yeah,
It's just, I think it's one of the most clever scripts because it sets you up for one thing and then it pulls the rug out from you. And like, can I give a quick synopsis of it to people?
absolutely. Yeah, let's do it.
So it's basically a hat salesman. He's a salesman.
Uh-huh.
He sells caps for sale. And he walks around with 20 caps on the top of his head.
Right.
And he's in a little tweed suit and he goes to a little style of, European village of some sort. He's got this little twirly mustache. Terrible drawings, just the worst. If any publisher out there will let me re-illustrate this book, I would be happy to. But he goes through and he's trying to sell his hats and no one buys any. And at first you feel sort of sorry for him because you're like, oh, this guy's never going to sell a thing. Why would anyone want to buy hats from him? And he goes to by the river and he decides to take a nap and he rests against a tree with all the caps on top of his head. And when he wakes up, the only cap that's on his head is his own brown cap. And all the other caps are gone. And he looks up, and in the trees are monkeys, 20 monkeys, and they have each stolen a cap off of his head. And he looks at the monkey and he says, "You monkeys, you give me my hats back." And the monkeys go, "Ch-ch-ch-ch-ch." And then he says, "You monkeys, you give me my hat back." And the monkeys go, "Ch-ch-ch-ch-ch." And then the man stomps up and down, back, and he jumps up and down. The monkeys jump up and down. And finally, out of frustration, the man goes, "Ah," and he throws his cap down, and the monkeys grab their caps and they throw it to the ground. And that's it. He calmly picks up each of his caps, puts it on his head, and goes about his way. And it's just such a funny, super simple, lovely picture book idea that I would like to re-illustrate.
I would think so. Available for hire.
Available for hire, caps for sale. I think it might have passed its, limit. I think it's available to be made. So
What is it called? The public domain.
public domain. I think it's succeeded the public domain. So it's good. Yes.
Yes. Awesome. I look forward to it. I can't wait to see what you come up with. All right. Well, thank you so much, Win. I
Oh,
enjoyed
you're
talking to you
welcome.
today.
This was so much fun, actually. Gosh, it
Yes.
went much faster than I thought.
I know. I hope that you enjoyed hearing this interview with LeUyen Pham as much as I just loved talking to her. I assume you did because you listened to the end, right? So if you like my podcast Book Cuddle, what I'd really love for you to do is if you could go rate and review Book Cuddle on your podcast platform, that really helps more people to be able to find Book Cuddle and help the podcast grow.